The Arctic wind howled like a restless spirit across the barren ice field, carrying with it flakes so fine they felt like whispers against the skin. Dr. Mara Kessler pulled her insulated parka tighter, teeth chattering despite the heated layers. Beneath, through the fogged lens of her goggles, she surveyed the sprawling encampment. Modular research pods bathed in the glow of halogen lamps, their metallic walls gleaming in the yellow light. All around, the ominous silence of the polar night pressed in, broken only by the distant thrum of the drilling rig. For 6 grueling weeks, the team had chased phantom readings, radar echoes that dissolved into static heat signatures that blinked out as soon as the instruments calibrated. Supplies were dwindling, and morale was fraying. Yet Mara refused to concede. When the sensors first registered that perfectly curved anomaly half a kilometer down, she felt the familiar thrill of a scientist on the brink of something extraordinary. Now, as she stood atop the rig platform, boots secured by chain cables, she watched the final steel teeth of the drill bore through the ancient ice. 20 meters to go, called out Sergei Novak, the lead engineer, his voice a crackle of excitement on the comms. His breath steamed in the cold air. Mara nodded, heart pounding. "Steady," she replied. "Keep the feed slow. We don't know what we're about to breach." Below, the drill bit screeched against something harder than ice, humming with an otherworldly resonance. The team held their collective breath until crack. The last layer splintered. A hollow click echoed up the shaft. "Core complete," Sergei announced. Opening hatch. 5 cranes groaned as they lifted a rectangular access panel once. Buried deep in ice, now revealed. An impossibly smooth surface of unknown alloy, stretched taut like the shell of some colossal egg. Under the glare of floodlights, the hull shimmered a muted dance of starlight trapped in metal. Mara's gloved hand drifted to the airtight hatch's wheel. Her fingers trembled as she turned it. The seal hissed, releasing centuries of trapped air in a high-pitched whistle. Frost plumed around the edges, then receded as a wisp of stale, slightly sweet air escaped. She inhaled, astonished by the impossible fact. The interior atmosphere was breathable. "Pressure's stable," confirmed Dr. Helena Ortiz, the team's atmospheric chemist, her voice trembling. "Oxygen levels ... compatible. Nitrogen ratios within safe range. No sign of harmful compounds." Steeling herself, Mara activated her headlamp and slid through the opening. She'd trained for zero-gravity extravehicular maneuvers, but nothing prepared her for the interior's hush. The floor was an expanse of polished panels, dark as midnight water. Walls curved seamlessly overhead into a cathedral-like arch. At intervals, vertical bands of glowing circuitry traced patterns in emerald and cobalt, casting soft light that pulsed as if alive. Behind Mara, the rest of the squad, Lieutenant Arjun Patel in his bulky exosuit, Sergei in a maintenance harness. Helena, clutching her portable analyzer, entered one by one. Their boots clicked lightly on the metal floor, each sound amplified in the vast stillness. "Remarkable," Arjun breathed. "No rivets, no weld seams. It's as if the whole ship was born in one piece." Mara knelt to inspect the floor panels, tracing a glyph etched into the metal. The symbol resembled a spiral, intersected by 3 concentric circles. These markings, they're not random. They follow a language structure I've never seen. Sergei tapped at a holopad, overlaying the glyph with familiar shapes. "No match in any human database," he reported. "Not Earth-based." Helena swept her analyzer along the wall. "Radiometric dating suggests this alloy is at least 10,000 years old, maybe far older. But the ice around it is older. Still, this ship lay here before the last ice age." They pressed deeper, drawn by a muted hum that grew stronger with each step. A massive doorway yawned open ahead, tall enough to swallow a transport truck, revealing the heart of the vessel. Floodlights from the rig illuminated the corridor, But inside, the ship's own lights stuttered awake, veins of soft light flowing like living veins through crystalline conduits. Mara paused at the threshold, her breath shallow. I'd prepared for an archaeological dig, but this, she swallowed. This is first contact. As they crossed into the chamber, the air vibrated with potential. The outside world, the unforgiving Arctic, the waiting press teams, the jostling diplomatic interests slipped away. Here, beneath layers of ice and time, lay a silent witness to an intelligence not of Earth, waiting to reveal its story. Mara raised her camera, lens focusing on the iridescent console at the chamber's center. She snapped a photo that crackled to life on her holopad screen, an image that would ignite imaginations worldwide. She exhaled, a plume of vapor drifting toward the ceiling. Let's find out who or what left this behind. And in that charged moment, amid the hum of alien light and the echo of her own heartbeat, the expedition became more than a scientific endeavor. It became humanity's greatest gamble. The glow of Mara's camera flash faded as the team ventured deeper into the vessel's core. The corridor walls, at first smooth and featureless, gradually opened into a series of alcoves, each devoted to a different facet of the ship's purpose. Soft, pulsating lights traced the edges of enormous alcove doors, like the gentle breathing of a colossal, slumbering beast. Lieutenant Arjun Patel pressed his palm against one of the doorframes. The glyphs there shimmered as if awakened by his touch. "Alana, read this," he murmured, stepping back. Helena trained her analyzer on the glyphs. The display flickered, then filled with patterns of data she could barely comprehend: energy signatures, star coordinates, biological markers. "It's some sort of archive," she said, voice awed. "Records of life forms, ecosystems, celestial events." This ship was cataloging everything it encountered. At the center of the chamber lay the console, a crystalline prism rising from the floor, its facets alive with fractal lights. Tentatively, Mara reached out, brushing a fingertip against its smooth surface. The lights coalesced, projecting a three-dimensional star map into the air above them. Faint pinpricks of light formed familiar constellations, but they were interlaced, with unfamiliar webs of stars twisting in impossible geometries. Sergei tapped commands into his holopad. These are transit corridors, paths through spacetime. See how they weave between galaxies? They've charted routes we haven't even theorized." His voice trembled. "Faster than light navigation." As they watched, a sequence of images scrolled along the map, a series of planets, each rendered in shades of turquoise and violet, their surfaces marked by crystal forests, seas of liquid methane, and vast rings of metallic debris. Then the images shifted views of this very ship, but surrounded by a squadron of smaller vessels, all bearing the same glyphs. A low hum began to pulse in harmony with the lights. The floor vibrated beneath their boots. Mara frowned, sensing something stirring within the ship's depths. "Everyone, stay close," she warned. "Let's see where this leads." They followed the lighted path down a gently sloping ramp that arched downward, the glowing veins in the walls now thrumming with energy. At the bottom, they entered a vast gallery lined with transparent cylinders. Inside each, suspended in a viscous, luminescent fluid, were specimens, delicate ferns with crystalline leaves, multi-limbed creatures that drifted like jellyfish. Even a tiny humanoid figure curled in repose, its skin aglow with bioluminescent patterns. "Specimen Preservation Unit," Arjun whispered, voice hushed. "All life forms the ship encountered cataloged for study, and perhaps for safekeeping." Helena's analyzer beeped sharply. She pointed to a tube housing a fragment of coral-like structure. "These isotopes, they match samples we found in deep Earth cores dating back 2 million years. This ship has been visiting our planet long before humans walked upright. A sudden shudder rippled through the chamber. The lights dimmed, then flared. An unseen mechanism hissed, and the cylinder's caps slid open simultaneously. The specimens drifted free, as if beckoned by the energy flow. The alien plants unfurled leaves that glowed brighter. The creatures that had rested motionless now pulsed with life. Mara raised her flashlight, capturing the moment on video. "They're reacting to us," she breathed. "Or to the ship's power." Arjun crouched by one of the freed creatures, a translucent, star-shaped organism anchored to the floor by gentle tendrils. "Incredible. It's alive in this environment without gravity. It's communicating." He placed a sensor against its side, and a series of harmonic tones filled the chamber, harmonizing with the ship's hum. Mara and Helena exchanged a look. The vessel was not merely a relic. It was a living archive, and perhaps a beacon. Somewhere deep within, the ship's true purpose awaited, not just to record the cosmos, but to interact with it. As the specimens pulsed and the star map continued its silent dance overhead, Mara realized the expedition had crossed an irreversible threshold. The ship was responding to their presence, and with that response came the promise of knowledge and the shadow of unknown risks. Somewhere ahead lay answers, and perhaps even the architects of this frozen enigma. With steady resolve, she signaled the team forward into the echoing unknown. A low rumble coursed through the ship's hull, traveling along the glowing veins in the walls and vibrating beneath the team's boots. Dr. Mara Kessler froze at the threshold of the specimen gallery, heart hammering. The Arctic ice above them groaned in response, as though sharing in the ship's stirrings. Lieutenant Arjun Patel's headlamp swung wildly as he braced himself against the console's crystalline prism. What just was that?" Arjun whispered, voice tight. "Looks like the ship is powering up," Sergei Novak replied, checking his holopad as streams of data scrolled across the screen. Energy levels spiking across every subsystem. Helena Ortiz tightened her grip on the analyzer. "The stasis chambers back up the corridor, they're activating too." Before anyone could react, a kaleidoscope of pale green light burst from the alcove doors. One by one, the glass cylinders released their specimens. The bioluminescent flora unfurled at impossible speed, leaves shimmering like stained glass. The multi-limbed creatures drifted free, their translucent forms undulating in zero gravity as though they remembered how to swim. But all eyes were drawn to the largest chamber at the far wall, its cap sliding open with a pneumatic hiss that echoed like a gasp. Inside lay a figure, curled into a fetal position, a humanoid form slender and elongated, its skin translucent as iced quartz. Veins pulsed along its limbs, glowing the same emerald hue as the ship's circuitry. The moment the seal retracted, the vessel's hum deepened into a resonant chord that filled the chamber like a heartbeat. Mara felt it more than heard it. A vibration deep in her chest, as though the ship itself were calling. She raised a gloved hand in greeting. The creature stirred, uncurling slowly. Its limbs extended with fluid grace, and its head tilted toward the light. Two large, opalescent eyes opened, reflecting the pulsing glow all around. "Easy," Mara murmured, taking a step forward. "We come in peace." The creature's gaze held hers for a heartbeat too long. Then, as if responding, the light in its veins brightened, and the console's crystalline facets shimmered in turn. A wave of warmth washed over the chamber, dispelling the chill. Helena's analyzer registered a sudden influx of complex neural signals patterns too intricate for human sensors to parse in real time. "It's communicating," Helena said, voice barely audible. She tapped the console, and a soft trill resonated through the speakers, an unbroken stream of tones that seemed both melody and language. The star map above shifted, constellations reconfiguring into new patterns. Mara closed her eyes, fighting the urge to recoil. Then, in her mind, A voice emerged, an echo of sound and thought intertwined. We come from before your time. Our world was dying. We carried the seed of life to the stars, seeking refuge and understanding. We catalog worlds, to remember, to honor what once was and what may yet be. You awaken us. Will you remember? Mara's pulse raced. Telepathy? It couldn't be. Yet the words imprinted themselves on her consciousness like footprints in fresh snow. Tell us who you are, Mara whispered aloud, though her mouth moved of its own accord. I am Mara Kessler, of Earth. We will remember. The creature inclined. Its head and the ship's hum receded into a gentle breeze of light. The specimens stilled mid-air, their pulses syncing with the vessel's new rhythm. The console's star map stabilized, highlighting a single, distant system far beyond their Milky Way. Arjun exhaled, voice trembling. They want to show us something. Mara nodded, torn between elation and dread. They had crossed the threshold from exploration into communion. The ship's secrets were no longer inert data. They were alive, held by an entity awakened after millennia. With cautious reverence, she gestured for the team to follow her deeper into the chamber, toward the newly illuminated pathway that beckoned. As they stepped forward, the Arctic ice above creaked, as if warning the world outside that forces were stirring beneath its frozen veil. In that moment, humanity stood on the brink of its greatest encounter, a meeting not just of species, but of memories older than civilization itself. And somewhere in the flickering lights, an alien intelligence silently asked, "Will you honor our story as we have honored yours?" The ice field above had settled into an uneasy calm, as if holding its breath. Below, inside the awakened ship, the research team gathered in the circular control chamber, its crystalline console now humming with gentle light. Outside, a convoy of international support crew scientists, military personnel, and media waited for word. But here, time had a different rhythm, the beat of an ancient heart returning to life. Dr. Mara Kessler exchanged a look with Lieutenant Arjun Patel. "We promise to remember," she murmured. Turning to the console, she placed a gloved hand on its smooth facet. In response, a new projection bloomed overhead. A holographic network of glowing nodes, each representing a world, cataloged by the ship's explorers. One node pulsed brighter than the rest, the distant system the creature had marked. Helena Ortiz tapped at her analyzer. The coordinates are encoded in the vessel's navigational weave, but there's more. This network isn't just a log. It's an invitation, a map of potential connections between worlds. Sergei Novak joined them, eyes wide. They're offering partnership, not just data. We can exchange knowledge, biology, culture, technology, as long as we honor their protocol. Protocol. The word resonated. The creature now standing patiently beside the console was neither captive nor guest, but an equal participant. Mara knelt to meet its gaze. "We want to honor your legacy," she said softly, "to learn and to share our own stories in return." The creature's eyes glowed. The console's lights brightened in affirmation. On the holomap, additional nodes shimmered into view representations of Earth's own explorers, satellites, probes, telescopes. Humanity's fledgling reach among the stars had been noted. Above, floodlights from the support convoy illuminated the hatch, beckoning. The world was watching. Mara stood and turned to her team. "We have what we came for, and far more. Let's share this discovery responsibly. The legacy of this civilization demands respect." As the hatch opened, a blast of Arctic cold swept in, mixing with the ship's warm luminescence. Cameras clicked, voices crackled over comms, and the global stage prepared to witness history. But within these curved walls, something more profound had taken root, a bond across species and centuries. Days later, the United Nations convened an unprecedented council beneath the Arctic aurora. Delegations from every nation pledged to establish the Galactic Accord, with the ship's caretakers humanity's first treaty with an alien intelligence. In the weeks that followed, research teams worked side by side with the creature, translating the starweave, studying the specimens, and initiating the ship's engines for distant test jumps. Back in her lab, Helena reviewed data streams of exotic energy patterns. Arjun cataloged new biomes for Earth's biologists. Sergei calibrated the ship's power matrix for potential Earth-to-ship communication relays. And Mara, at the center of it all, prepared a compendium of every glyph, sample, and echo they had uncovered. One evening, alone in the control chamber, Mara activated the console's registry one last time. The star map centered on the node beyond the Milky Way. A soft hum rose, and in her mind came the familiar melodic voice. "You have remembered. The path is open. May our stories guide the way." She smiled, fingers brushing the glowing surface. "We will," she promised. As the ship's engines gently thrummed, with Arctic winds howling outside like ancient applause, humanity took its first true step into the broader cosmos, not as conquerors, but as companions on a journey of shared remembrance and wonder. And under the eternal ice that had long kept its secrets, a new alliance was born, an echo of hope reverberating across the stars.